Hello, everybody. This is Big Juice on Big Juice's Take. This is my first film breakdown. So today we will be going over different, route combinations, base routes, and ways to manipulate those routes to get more separation while running them. This is going to be a little bit of a longer video. I think it's going to end up around like 40 minutes or so. So I'll add timestamps in the description if you just want to jump to certain routes. Um, Let me know in the comments like what you think about this when you're done watching whatever you want to. If you want it to be shorter or longer, or what do you want to see more of? This is my first one doing it, and I really, I'll do whatever you guys want me to do. So just let me know in the comments below. Um, and yeah, that's about it. So we'll get in a minute. I just want to give a quick little introduction. So we'll be going over a slant route today. We'll be going over an out route. We'll be going over a dig route, a whip route, a curl route, a fade route, a comeback route, and then a juke route and a red zone fade. So we'll be going over those routes today, and I'll put them in the description below. So if you just want to jump to any of those, you can. Like I said, I'm spending a little bit more time than I planned to going over each one. So, it's going to be a little bit of a longer video. Just, yeah, when you're done, just let me know in the comments what you think about it, if you want anything to see anything differently. And hope you enjoy. Let's get into the first one. So the first route we're going to look at today, it's called a slant route. And basically what it is that the receiver here, I'll play it on screen while I describe it. He takes a few steps upwards, and then whichever side of the field you're on, you break inwards at like a 30-degree angle. So you saw there, he kind of, took some steps up, and then he broke in at a 30-degree angle, caught it for a touchdown. So the typical goal of this route is to, if your cornerback is stacked right vertically on top of you, you want to take some steps up and then you want to beat him to the inside. You want to kind of cut him off a little bit. As you can see here, I'll kind of, this isn't a perfect example, but you try and cut him off here and beat him to the inside. This isn't the best example because this video is, I'll explain what happened in this in a minute. But he beat him to the inside, and then you want to catch it for, it's not a huge yardage play, but you get yards if you can run it effectively. So what made Cooper so wide open, I mean, where was it, the picture? I mean, look how much room you can see on a slam route. Typically the cornerback's right on you, maybe you have a step on him, but Cooper has, a clear amount of steps on him. So how is he able to, how is he able to manipulate the cornerback, in this case Deonte Banks, to get that kind of separation? Well, Banks right now has what you would call, it's called inside shading. So he's right in front of the receiver would be around here. He's about a step inside. So shading is good because if you're inside shading or outside shading, it's good, better at protecting against routes that break towards where you're shading. So if you're inside shading and he tries to break in at you, you already have that step on him. So while he's trying to gain that step, you're already a step ahead. So it's easier for you to guard it. However, if you have outside shading and you break in, he's already a step ahead of you because you're a step behind. So you really have to commit to that. And so on the opposite side, if he has inside shade and Amari Cooper here runs an out route where it's just you run up and then you break outwards, he has to really commit to that because he can't be behind, or else, if he lets him, get that step, he'll be two steps. That's, basically just a free touchdown. So Amari Cooper sees this and he's able to use this against Banks. So what he does here is it was really quick, but I'll point it out to you. He takes a little jab step right here. You see that jab step. So it's like a little fake to the outside. And as I mentioned, if you take even a step outside with inside leverage, you have to commit to that, or else, he's going to have a step on you. So Banks, he jumps that a little bit. And that just lets Cooper, get that step to the inside, and it lets him free touchdown. So one more time, I'll show it for you real quick. Fakes outside, he gets it in there. So little tricks like that is how these players are able to manipulate even the highest, even the best at their position in the entire world to get that kind of success. All right, so the next route we're going to be talking about, it's called an out route. We went over it a little bit last time, but basically it's when you run up at a straight line and then you break out directly, directly at, you try to get as close to 90 degrees to the sideline, just on a line to the sideline. You're breaking outwards. You're not breaking inwards like the last time towards the middle, but you're breaking out. So you can run it, there's different ways to run it. You can run it breaking out at 5 yards or at 10 yards or 15 or 8 or 12 or really whatever you want. Um, but here, Puka decided to break at about 11. So this is Puka Nakua, one of my favorite players, and one of the reasons why he's so good is he's very good at zone. He's very good, running routes against zone, which helps because this route isn't particularly effective, but it's really effective against man coverage, especially if you run it right. And he's so effective at using that, and he uses these little tricks like what he does to get the yards that he's able to. So this route, I'll show it for you real quick. But basically here, he's just going to run up and then break out. So this is, I will say, this isn't the best. You want to, while I love what he does here with maintaining his momentum, you do want to break out at a 90-degree angle. It's sharper, but if you round it and it works, like it did for him, you can kind of see he, instead of breaking out right here, he kind of he rounded it a little bit and then made this ridiculous grab. So it's okay. He's incredible player. But yeah, so that's an out route basically. And the reason why it works so well for Puka here and something that we can all take away from this is when he broke, out right here, you can see he's starting to turn, but the cornerback in this case, Stephon Gilmore, he's still backpedaling because when you got the receiver running straight at you, you keep backpedaling to be able to break out. It's a technique cornerbacks use, but it does make them susceptible to falling behind. There it is again, susceptible to falling behind a route just because you're not one guy's sprinting, another guy's backpedaling. The guy sprinting is gonna he's gonna obviously get a step on you every time, but one thing that I've found really works in real life, it works for the pros, it works at every level, is one mistake, rather, I should say, that people often make is that they take this advantage of having that momentum. And when a lot of people, cut at that 90 degrees, you kind of give up all that momentum. And so you cut and the cornerback's right there with you. You guys are able to start sprinting again at the same time. But one thing that Puka did here, and which is a reason why I really don't mind the fact that he rounded it, is that he kept his momentum. Um, so he didn't have to have that crazy cut because he was still at that sprinting speed while Stephon Gilmore was just starting to accelerate. And so here they're neck and neck, but now you give it 2 seconds and he's got 4 yards ahead of them, which is why even though it wasn't a great throw and he had to make this crazy toe tap catch, which yes, it was a catch, um, it's why he was able to do that because he had this 5 yards of separation, which he got from keeping his momentum. So one thing I love about this route is just that he was able to keep his speed, stay at that top gear, and that's one thing to take away. You can run it at a sharp angle if you're good at making guys miss. You can do a little move at the top, or frankly, if he's still backpedaling because he's not sprinting, and that you can beat him, just keep your speed, and use that to gain yards on him because you can gain yards vertically, but you can also gain yards of separation horizontally, which is what he did here because he's not more higher up the field vertically up here, but he has so much more separation that he's able to make a man if it's a better throw he can maybe make a man miss, or if it's a bad throw he has time to adjust, which is why I love it. So I'm going to play it one more time, just from the beginning. A little bit of pre-snap motion, pre-snap adjustment, a little motion, and then what he does here, sprints it, keeps some momentum going, and then makes this ridiculous grab. All right, so this next route is kind of being built off the last two, and it's unfortunate that this all 22 videos It's it's a little big. It's the quality isn't the best, which is unfortunate because it really doesn't do this route justice. AJ Brown did such a great job with this. But I'll try and show you what's going on, anyways. So basically, what this route is, a whip route, is typically you'll run a slant. Well, you'll start a slant, so you'll run up a few steps and then cut in at that 30-degree angle before spinning around in a circle and breaking outwards. So AJ Brown did this a little differently, a little unorthodox in this. Typically, it'll be run at that 3 to 4 yard range. He ran it a little closer to 6 or 7, so he ran it a little deeper than usual. But it's as all routes, it's flexible. That's the beauty of route running. It's really just learning how to keep building off of what you do, and that's what he did. So here, I'll kind of point out he didn't really run the biggest slant, but you know he runs up, takes a step inward, and then spins around to go to an out route. So it's kind of a mix between a slant and an out, which is why you're building off the past two um, for this great reception. So what he did so well here is that even though he didn't run the typical orthodox version of a slant, he ran it deeper, and he didn't even really commit to the slant. He took a step or two inwards before cutting out. But as you can see here, Christian Gonzalez, he's one of he's frankly at this point in time one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL, and he's scrambling the other way. AJ Brown has probably 8 yards of separation here about, which is ridiculous on someone of that caliber of cornerback. I mean, granted, he is one of the best receivers in the NFL, but the reason why is because he's making plays such as this one. So uh, here the reason why I picked this one to go pick this exact route to show on the film review instead of any other uh, whip routes is because he did this so perfectly. Just as I said earlier about how with leverage wise, I said it on the slant route. If someone's shading to a side and they're behind you, they need to really commit to. If you break the other way, they have to commit to that and really jump on that so that they don't, because they're already a step behind, so they really have to commit to that. So what he did so perfectly was he was able to use a release, an inside release, to get inside the shoulder of Gonzalez, and then he, when he starts breaking inwards, he's got that step. So Gonzalez has to fully commit to that and really sprint after that, which is why when he plants his foot in the ground and cuts hard, Gonzalez is still scrambling because he really, he was committed to the in route, which he had to do because he was behind. So AJ Brown can turn this, go upfield, get the reception. And frankly, this is also something that can be used in a normal whip route, even if you're not running it to the degree that he is, because you get that, and that's frankly the goal of it. You want to get with a slant, you want to beat him inside, and then so you can whip outwards. But this really just showed. I really love this route because what AJ Brown did was he showed that it's not. He kind of turned it into more of like a dig whip, which is a dig. We'll go over this in a few minutes, but basically a dig is where instead of slanting in at an angle, it's kind of the opposite of an out. You run up and then you run towards the center of the field at a 90-degree angle, so on a line. Um, so he just I love this because it shows that there's more than it's not like you have to run the route the exact way it's taught, a slant and then cut it outwards. He showed you can do the dig and you can really use tactics like getting inside and having a corner behind you to get them to overcommit to that. So one more time, I'll just show it for you. It's an inside and then reverses it wide open. And if Jalen Hurts throws that earlier, he could probably take that for a touchdown. But as for now, he's fine with that. Great route. It's about I think it was 19 yards, and move the chains. Okay, so this route is the last base route we're going to go over today. And a base route is basically, in case you're wondering, it's basically you have a go route, which is just running straight, and then other base routes are taking that just running straight and adding maybe like one cut onto it. So maybe you take one cut inwards or outwards at an angle or different. So those are all the different kinds of base routes. There's probably like 10, 11, 12 I can think of off the top of my head. Other routes, like, crazy route combinations, like the whip route isn't a base route. Slant and out routes are, but the whip route is a combination of a slant and out route. So this dig is the last base route we're going to go over. We're only going to go over three today: the slant, the out, and the dig. But yeah, so this is the last base route we're going to go over. If you want to see more in the future, let me know in the comments. But basically, what a dig route is, it's the opposite of an out route. So for an out route, you run up, and then you cut outwards at as much of a straight line, 90-degree angle as you can. You cut out towards the sideline. A dig route's the opposite. So you're running straight, and then you're cutting in towards the middle of the field on as much of a 90-degree straight line as you can. So here I'll show you real quick the clip of Davante Adams. He's running up, and then he cuts in. And he's staying fairly straight on it. Takes it for a huge gain because he's Davante Adams. So now obviously you have the normal route, which is you run at them. If he's playing 8 yards off, you run at him. He backpedals a little bit, and then you just try and beat him with the step inside. But he's playing up. He's playing what it looks to be press man. He didn't press him for some reason, which is why I don't know why he was so close, especially against Davante Adams. But he was in man coverage, so he's guarding him one-on-one. So what Adams did, he sees this, and what he's able to do, he's able to stack this corner. So he gets out, cuts it, a step inside, not a step inside to the dig, but a step outside just to get straight. Because now, as you can see here, he's not cutting inwards. He doesn't have that horizontal separation that we talked about earlier, but he's a step ahead of this cornerback, which means it's not like the corner isn't reading his hips. He's off his technique. And not only that, Adams is in control. If he wants to cut it out to a corner, he has all the great news about stacking a corner as a receiver. The good news about it is you have when you're here and the corner's here, you only have you can go here to try and get leverage, here to try and get leverage, but the corner has all this. So he can safely play vertically and then also break on horizontal moves. But when he's behind, Adams can go really anywhere in the whole field, and the corner's going to be lagging behind him. So he really has to overcommit to this vertical. So when he takes that break in, he's a step behind and trying to catch up. He ends up tripping and falling. Adams makes a catch, gets him, run after the catch, and bring. So one more time, he gets outside, and then he gets that vertical leverage. He stacks him, and then he gets that step, cuts inward. Corner has to, overcompensate for it. Ends up tripping and falling. Adams wide open, some yak, and he's off to the races. So that's why route running is just so beautiful, because it's just there's so many ways to do it. You can try and get inside, you can try and get outside, and even if you are outside of a corner like he is now, like he has to get his goal is to get in. The corner's standing right there. But the beauty of it is there are other ways to do it and ways to make the corner fall down. So it's just like this is a great rep to learn off of, because while there are other ways to run a dig, if someone's gonna like play up on you and you can get that kind of stacking, like it's great teach tape really, because you see here, as opposed to like this player right here, this receiver right here, he can cut that way and try and beat the corner with a step. He can come back to the ball, but then he's losing yards. He can try and come this way. But the corner has this whole area, so he can, he's safe vertically, and then all he has to worry about is cutting on a break, as opposed to Adams here, who's above his corner. He has literally the whole. He's a step ahead of his corner, literally anywhere he wants to go, especially because he's the one choosing which direction to go, and the corner doesn't know. So that's something really great to learn from this. So just one more time, I'll play it, let you watch it. Cuts outside, gets the vertical stack, cuts back in, and gets a nice run after the catch. All right, so the next route we're going to look at is called a curl route, and basically what this is It's basically branching off of a different base route called a post route, where it's like a slant you run, but it's deeper. So you run anywhere from 4 to 8 yards just vertically, just straight. And then instead of like a slant, when you cut in at this like 30-degree angle, you're kind of cutting up at like a 60-degree angle. So you're getting more vertical on it. So what this route is it branches off of that, and it you try and sell someone on following you on that post route before cutting back and trying to get separation that way. So we'll watch this real quick, and I'll point out what's going on. So Evans, he runs up, he fakes the post, and then he comes back for the curl. It wasn't, the postiest post, I'll say. He didn't, come in at too sharp of an angle, but he sold it enough that he got the corner to bite, and now he's, on the floor and he gets 20 yards or whatever it is. So, how is Evans able to get so much separation on this? Well, basically, with this curl route, what he did, and I really like it when receivers run it this way. If a corner is still backpedaling, you see how he's backpedaling, backpedaling. If you cut back now when he's still backpedaling, he can easily just jump the route. He can easily, because he's still, facing forward. So what Evans did here, and why I think it's a great example, is he ran the post hard enough until the corner. See what he did there? He flipped his hips. So I'll play it one more time. He's currently backpedaling, backpedaling, backpedaling. He flipped his hips. Now he's facing down the field. So he's running with Evans as if he was running a post. So when Evans, when he cuts back, the corner's still running this way. He still has that momentum. So he can't cut back as sharply. Evans gets more separation and he's scrambling to, get up. So, just one more time real quick. You can see he's backpedaling, backpedaling. That's when he flips his hips right there. And that's when Evans cuts back right away. And great throw by Baker Mayfield. You can see he anticipated that, threw it right now before he even curled back. So it's a great route. I think that's why it's a great example, because it's one thing you can take away from. There's, obviously different ways to run it, but a way I personally run my curl routes is you sell them on the post. You wait until they flip their hips. You try and get more vertical if you can, and then you cut back because the second they flip their hips, it's over. So one more time. He's running, corner's backpedaling, flipped his hips, sold him on the post, cut back, get the catch. And that's a curl route. The next route we're going to look at, it's called a fade route. And basically what a fade route is uh, you run up a little bit, you make a little move to try and get the corner moving horizontally with you, and then you're on the same level, and then you can beat him up the sideline vertically. Now, the reason why this isn't the actual route we're going to look at, but I should like to show this one because there's two kinds of routes vertically. There's a fade route, and then there's also a route called a go route. So the go route is this one where you don't make any move. You literally just run straight. I mean, if you watch him at the top here, right here, he's just running straight. He looks like he's running like a track meet or something. He's just running straight. He's trying to beat the corner up the sideline, which he did. I mean, if the ball's put out here instead of underthrown, it's probably a touchdown. But um, you think you're faster than them, and you just try and beat them with your speed. That's what a go route's for. Now, fade route is if you want to still beat them vertically, but you don't think you're fast enough to just run straight by them. So this is a go route. I'll show it one more time. If you watch Nico Collins up here, and he's fast enough that it works, but he's just literally just running straight. You saw what a go route looks like. This is what a fade route. I'll play it for you real quick. So he makes a little move inside off the step, and then you try and get horizontal with him, and then beat him up the sideline, which he did, able to take it for a touchdown. So it's a great route. So basically, what he did was instead of what a lot of corners will do is you'll run up a little bit. Especially if he's so close, because they're running zone here. They're running like a zone two with like a man chuck or something, where they're just pressing them off. They're trying to press them off the line. So what he did was, if the corner's out here, normally you'll run up, you'll try and fake like a little corner or an out or something, and then you'll try and beat him up the sideline. Or I mean, I guess you could also do it, in inside too, but most people tend to go outside. But what he did was he just went straight off because he was about to get pressed. So if you get pressed on a fade route, it's just a go route at that point. You're just trying to beat him up the sideline because you don't have room to give him a move. So what he did was he gave him a little jab step inside right here. See that? Right here. That little step he took. And that gets the corner jumping inside. Because you watch the corner, what he did, he came inside first because he saw that interior step. And then Rice was able to get horizontal with him by getting that extra step on him. And at that point, that's just a race up the sideline. So the reason why a go route's different, a go route, you don't make any of that move. You're just running straight. A fade, you're making a little move to try and get to this horizontal position because then instead of having to be faster than them by a large margin because you're back here and he's up here and you have to beat him down to here, you're at the same level. So if you're even and you have that step on him because he was he bit to the move, so you have that extra step. So even if you're not faster than him, even if you guys are on the same level, or if you're even a little slower than him, you can still beat him because you have that extra step on him. So as long as you just keep that going and it's a good ball, it's out for a touchdown. So what Rice did here, obviously I showed that little jab step, and there's many ways to run this fade route. You can run it out where you kind of where you run up and then you run out and you try and get the corner to bite on that out. So he's running down. His momentum is down to this way while you're getting vertical on it, and then he has to catch up. You get that extra step. You can run a little corner. You can fake a slant. You can fake a dig. You can fake a post. You can fake whatever you want. You can fake. There's many ways to run it, but the reason why I liked it so here is because he was getting pressed. So normally corner will be out here, and you have room to make that kind of move, but he didn't because if he fakes and if he fakes like an out route, this corner's right here with him, so he's not going to get that extra step. As opposed to if he gets him biting from the jump. So this is why it shows if you're like getting pressed on a fade, instead of just taking it and then trying to be a track star and just beat him straight up the field, there's ways to make moves before he can even touch you, even if he's 2 yards away. So like this. So I'll play it one more time. A little jab, gets horizontal, and then beats him up the sideline. So that's why I really like this route, just because there's ways to make the moves that aren't traditional. You can do it however. There's many ways to run it, and the best way to get better is just experimenting with it. But this is definitely a great job by Rice here. Next route we're going to look at, it's branching off of the last route. So it's kind of it's the next variation of a fade or go route. So you basically, I'll play it for you here. You're running your fade or go or whatever you want to do. In this case, Devontae Adams ran a go. We just ran straight at him. But then you cut back. It's like a curl, but instead of coming off a post, it's first off you're cutting back to the outside, not the inside. But then it's also like it's off of a fade or a go route. So what Adams did here, he got so much separation. He was able to run here, cut back, get it. So how was he able to get so much separation? Well, first things first, they're running like a zone coverage, which you can tell because if they're in man, whoever's the man on him will be following him across, as opposed to they just shift over and then the outside guy is getting him. So that means that they're in zone. Now the thing about zone coverage is it's different because man, you're backpedaling, you have to know which move to break. With zone, you're just trying to get back to your zone. So you can see here with the corner, it's a little bit of backpedaling, but then he starts to run back the second Adams gets close to him because he's has this like deep zone. So with zone, you have to get back there. That's your job. Your job is guarding. It's to get back there. So I don't know who was in this flat. I think they kind of just I think it was just a blown coverage because no one was in this flat, which would be the piece which you rose up to Adams. But he recognized that and he knew that you were able to manipulate the corner to get that kind of separation because if they were in man, you would have had to run more like a fade route. You would have had maybe to run a little longer because he wouldn't have turned his hips after 5 yards. But he did. So he runs zone, he's turning his hips, and you see the second he turned his hips to face downwards, just like with the curl, once the corner flips his hips, you plant your foot, you cut back, and you have all the separation because their momentum is still carrying them vertically. So he was able to cut back to the ball and get 13 yards or whatever it was, 12 yards. So just one more time, I'll play it for you. Comes in motion, gets set. He runs his go route, and then once the corner flips his hips, cuts back to the ball. This is, there's more than one ways to run this. You can run it deeper, you can run it shorter, you can run it more horizontal, you can run it just more coming back to the ball. But he did a great job here, and it's great to learn off of. I mean, I'm not gonna go too in depth here because we really went over it with the curl route where you need to get the corner to flip his hips. So if you want to hear more about that, go back to the curl route. The links to the minutes are in the description. But yeah, it's basically waiting for the corner to flip his hips, and because then once he does, you can just cut back, and he's still carrying his momentum vertically, so you get extra, horizontal separation on him. Comes back to the ball, gets a catch. Nice job, Devontae Adams. Okay, so this next route we're gonna look at, it's called a Juke route. So Keenan Allen, he did this past year, and it actually won Route of the Year because it was so good. Basically, what a juke route is you run like an out route, and then you kind of turn your back, and you try and like shake him off you a little bit, and then you turn it into like a little kind of return where you run an out, and then you come back in. It's like a reverse whip, but you give a little shaky shaky. I'll say I don't really know how to describe it, so I'll play it for you real quick. Um, so here's Allen. He runs a little bit of an out, does a little shaky shaky shake and bake, gets in for a touchdown. And one more time, I need to show you this. So he runs up, runs like an out, then he turns his back and he like fakes he's going in, fakes he's going out, and then the defender bites on the out, so then he cuts back in. So I've run this personally. I think it's a great route to add to your bag. It's really good for red zone. If you need 5-10 yards and it's man coverage, it works so well. Zone coverage, it's not as good, but man, it's very good just because the cornerback he kind of he you make your first shake on the route. You make the first one, so this one look like a fake, and then you really sell this one so that he thinks you're going in the out, so that's the one he bites on. Then you cut it back in. So if you choose to run this, one thing I would really say is you want to really focus on making it seem like the first one's a fake, or like the first one's not like a real cut, because if you sell the first and then you sell the second, he might bite on the first, and then he's where you're ending up anyway. So you want to really make the first just look like a step, but then you want to sell the out. Like you saw, he really planted his foot there, and then he cuts back in. So one more time, I'll show it for you guys. It's the juke route. And there it is for a touchdown. So one thing to take away from this, no matter what you're doing, is that if you really want a defender to go one way so you can go the other, and you want to throw in multiple fakes in, you want the first few fakes to look like they're not like real cuts, to look like they're fake. Because then when your actual fake comes, and when I'm doing quotation marks in my fingers, but when your actual like fake cut comes, you can really sell it, so that's the one they bite on, and then you can cut the other way. So that's what you can take out away from this. So this last route we're going to look at, it's another Devontae Adams route, but I mean, he runs his route so well that it's so easy to just watch his stuff and get better from. So I've had people ask me before, like, what's the difference between a red zone fade and a normal fade, or like, what does a red zone fade have to like do with route running at all? Because what a red zone fade is, you're basically taking a step up, running out a little bit, and then catching the ball. Like that's, I'll show you what it is here. We'll watch it. So he, takes a step up, cuts to the corner, and then just catch it over his head. So what's the route running part of this? Well, there's not a ton of route running in this. It's You're not trying to, get a ton of separation on it. The whole point of a red zone fade is that your quarterback throws it, above the corner's head, and you just catch it above him. Before the goal is you get it quick before he can look. I mean, if you count it, it's what, like 1 or 2 seconds. So the quarterback takes one step, puts it up there, and lets the Adams go catch it. So this isn't something to learn from, to think, oh wow, what are new ways I can run this route? What are ways I can get 10 yards of separation? It's not going to happen. That's not the point of the red zone fade. The point of it is that your chemistry with your quarterback is good enough that he can put the ball where you need it to be, to catch it over a receiver's head. It's efficient, it's quick. You take a few steps and it's a touchdown. So you're probably wondering why I added this here because, this whole video I've been focusing on really, ways to advance your route running. Well, this is one I added because it's important to just run it the same. You can run it differently. You can run it more horizontally, run it more shallowly. It doesn't really matter. The point is to get in the end zone. But as long as you practice it with your quarterback and you do that same thing every time, it's not going to matter because the whole thing is this is just repetition. This is just take your step, cut to the corner, and catch the ball above the corner's head and do it quickly before he can look back and try and like bat it down. So here it's not so much putting a ton of technique on or putting the moves on the corner. It's just being consistent, doing the same. He's run this same exact route so many times, and Rogers knows exactly where to put it. Just that's just the chemistry of playing so much. He runs it quickly. The ball's here before the corner can even look back. It's in the same spot he likes it, and he can go up and get it. It's above the corner's head. So when you're running a red zone fade, just do it. Don't do anything too special. Just do it quickly. Do it the way you practice, and and get the touchdown. That's all that matters. So watch it one more time here. You're just taking a step, cutting to the corner, catching the ball above the corner's head, and that's really all there is to it. All right, that's all the routes we're going to do for today. Thank you everyone for tuning in and listening. I hope you all learned something, enjoyed something. Obviously, there's more, base routes. There's more route variations, many more, dozens, maybe even hundreds more that I could go over in the future. So if there's any in specific that you guys want to see, maybe I'll make another video on it. Just put it in the comments, and I'll make sure to read those and add those into the next video. I know this one was a little long. I'm still, this is my first video I'm making, so I'm still kind of figuring out what the format's going to be. If these have to be shorter and have less information, or just less route variation and just more videos. We'll see as the future goes on. I'll try and adapt to what you guys want to watch. But I hope you all enjoyed. Thanks for sticking around. Make sure to check out my other platforms, X, Instagram. Make sure to check out my website because I've spent a lot of time on those articles and they're actually pretty interesting, I've been told. And I'll see you guys in the next one.